Hello, thanks for joining me. I'm Henna and I like to talk about perfume. Today I'm going to go through my January perfume rotation. February has just started, so it's a great time to look back at the perfumes that I tried and that I wore a lot of in the month of January. If you're not familiar with my channel and what I am all about, I live in a place that is very, very cold, and January was no exception. Apparently, it's not as cold as it normally is, but right now it is minus 24 degrees Celsius outside, so we do get really cold weather, and that definitely does have an effect on the perfumes that I choose to wear every single day. I find myself reaching for things that are a little bit sweeter, more comforting. Sometimes I will wear something that's fresh or different to kind of break up the vanilla based perfumes that I'm wearing, because I do wear a lot of vanillas, but usually on a day-to-day basis I'm craving something really warm, and that is reflected in the perfumes that I wore in January. One thing that was unique to the perfumes I chose this month, as I'm looking back, the thing that's unique to them is that I had a very patchouli themed month. And I know that patchouli is polarizing. I know that a lot of people hate it and people don't always like to wear it. But I feel like in different perfumes it reads a little bit differently, and I really love a earthy, chocolatey kind of patchouli for the winter time. So that is really kind of what I gravitated towards in the month of January. The other thing that happens in January is that I need to be a calming presence for other people. I'm pretty calm myself, but I find myself really needing to be cool, be collected, to really have a level head. And my perfume, I think, needs to reflect that also. So I really try to wear scents that are not too loud, they're not very complex, and hopefully they give other people the aura of calmness. I know that that's what I'm going for myself, so hopefully that comes through in the fragrance that I'm wearing. Also, I kind of think of my fragrance wardrobe like a wardrobe of clothes. I don't plan in advance. I choose what I'm going to wear depending on the weather and my mood and what I haven't worn in a while. And I try to wear things that were calm and not too busy. And then my perfume definitely reflected that also. And so patchouli had a lot to do there. It did a lot of the heavy lifting when I was trying to wear something that was giving the aura of calmness. So I'll start with the scent that really started this patchouli phase for me right now for this month, and that was Ombre by Molinard. Molinard is a really old perfume house. It actually says right on the bottle that it was started in 1849. This is a perfume house out of Spain, and some of you may be familiar with this house because they have a really famous perfume called Habanita. And Habanita was originally created to help women scent their cigarettes. So it would scent the cigarette smoke as they smoked, and eventually they turned it into a perfume because people were wearing it on their clothes or on their skin. So they decided just to make it a perfume. Iconic bottle, and probably the scent that Molinard is known best for. However, they do have a bunch of single note fragrances. So they have a vanilla, they have a patchouli even, they have an ombre, and I did have a sample of this a while ago before I bought my bottle. And I think the sample had kind of really been sitting there for a few years, and a lot of the alcohol in it had evaporated. So it read as a very resinous, patchouli, vanilla, labdanum kind of scent. But this bottle that I have, which is Ombre, it's a purple bottle. This bottle is really more of just a straight up dry, dusty patchouli kind of perfume. It is sweetened by a little bit of vanilla, but it's not giving me the intense labdanum that my original sample had. Nevertheless, I have kept the bottle. It wasn't very expensive, so I didn't feel the need to get rid of it. And sometimes I really do just like wearing a straight up patchouli perfume. I'm not one of those people that has bad scent memories with patchouli. I really don't have any scent memories with patchouli. I'm just creating new ones. So I don't mind that this is very patchouli forward. It just wasn't what I was expecting from a perfume that's called Ombre. That being said, it did remind me of Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens, and that one is a very patchouli forward amber as well. It's very herbal, it's very dry, very dusty. I think it was quite unique when it first came out, but maybe not as unique anymore. The patchouli in this really reminds me of that scent, and because of that, maybe because I love Ambre Sultan, I find this to be quite wearable, quite easy to wear. It's not very strong, so I wore many sprays of it when I did wear it. It kind of wears like an eau de cologne instead of an eau de toilette. I think it's an eau de toilette. Oh, just kidding. It's an eau de parfum. It really wears more like an eau de cologne. It's not strong at all, but it's kind of fun to spray. It's a generous size bottle, and it's just a nice, simple patchouli that's a little bit sweet, just a tiny bit sweet. So liked that. I wore that quite a bit in the month of January. It was just an easy wear. And like I said, this dry, dusty, earthy kind of patchouli really was what I was feeling for January. Okay, so once I realized that I kept reaching for Ombre by Molinard, I wanted to compare it to other patchouli forward perfumes that I have in my collection. The one that my mind goes to immediately when I think of patchouli is Tempo by Diptyque. And I had thought that the Molinard was just straight up patchouli, but when I wore it in conjunction with Tempo, like I wore Tempo on one arm and I wore the Ombre on the other arm, when I did that, I realized that the Ombre is sweetened with a little bit of vanilla, so it really is vanilla and patchouli. It's not just straight up patchouli. Tempo is less sweet, more earthy, a little bit herbal almost. It is patchouli that is paired with mate, which is a kind of tea. It has cocoa-like connotations, but it's not gourmand at all. It really, sometimes when you drink mate tea, you can think of chocolate or cocoa, like it has that kind of flavor, but you know it's not quite there. Those kind of notes pair really nicely with patchouli. As you can see, my bottle's almost done, but the juice is green, and I think that's supposed to make us think of patchouli leaves. This is nice. Like, I like it. It is a lovely patchouli perfume. Definitely a little bit more masculine because it's not as sweet, but I didn't think the Ombre was very sweet to begin with, so I think both of these are wearable by anybody. If you want something that is very patchouli forward and just patchouli and that's it, like that's what you're gonna get, then I think Tempo is also a really good choice. Obviously it's way more expensive than the Molinard, but it's also stronger, and you know, the bottles are prettier. You're just getting a different perfume really. And yeah, so that's Tempo by Diptyque. The other perfume that I pulled out on my patchouli journey was L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême by L'Artisan Parfumeur. This perfume is done by Jean-Claude Ellena, and he has this way of making perfumes that makes you think of a painter painting with watercolors. It's just like a dash here and a dash here, and it kind of just blends together. It's very smooth. It looks almost like it's effortless, but if you know about painting with watercolors, it's actually not effortless at all. It requires a great deal of skill and a great deal of control. Amber Extreme does follow a traditional amber structure, and a traditional amber structure is one that starts with herbs, and then there's usually some florals, usually rose in the mid, and then the dry down is a blend of labdanum, patchouli, vanilla, could be other incenses, like other resins that are in there. Sometimes you have lots of vanilla, sometimes you have lots of patchouli, but that is really a traditional amber structure. So if you're thinking about amber perfumes, you might be smelling those things when you reach for an amber. L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême definitely follows that structure. The herb in the top note is cardamom, and then there's a lot of rose in the mid, and then the dry down is really vanilla, benzoin, and patchouli, lots of patchouli. And the patchouli here is dry and dusty, really like the dry dusty patchouli in Ombre by Molinard. If you think of Ambre Sultan, that also follows the same structure. The herbs that are in the top note are oregano, and then there's florals in the mid, and then the dry down is a lot of this dusty, earthy patchouli with vanilla, with benzoin, with labdanum. So if you're thinking that you want to know what a traditional amber perfume would smell like, both of these are good options. If you think of something like Amber 114 by Histoires de Parfums, starts with nutmeg and thyme, and again has a lot of patchouli and other amber notes in the dry down. Great perfume. I love that one too. It just so happens that the one that I still have in my collection is L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême by L'artisan Parfumeur, and I collect these bottles with the gold top, so this one is my favorite. As far as patchouli forward perfumes go, this one's obviously more complex. It has, you know, a definite opening and then a middle section and then a dry down, whereas Tempo and Ombre are more linear perfumes. So it really depends on what you're in the mood for. For me, in January, I really wanted to wear something that was a little bit basic. So the Ombre by Molinard was what I was going for. I really liked that it wasn't that strong because I wanted to maintain that calm presence that was kind of in the background and not at the center of attention. So it kind of helped me do that really well. Of course, the best of all patchouli forward perfumes is Coromandel by Chanel. This is my favorite patchouli, but I don't even think of it as a patchouli scent anymore because there's just so much more going on here. It's got the citruses when it opens. It's got incense with the patchouli. It's got this mentholated white chocolate thing going on. This is not really a patchouli forward perfume, and it's not an amber perfume. It doesn't follow that traditional amber structure, but it is a nice warm patchouli at the base. Sweetened with vanilla, sweetened with benzoin. There's incense in here. It's powdery as well, but really not dry dusty like the other ones are. But that's Coromandel. This one is, you know, one of my favorite perfumes of all time, so I love that. But that was my journey with patchouli. Those are the perfumes that I wore. I think I'm done with patchouli for the next little bit. I don't really want any more. I have to say that at the end of January, I put all of these away, and I'm probably not going to be reaching for them anytime soon just because I've had enough of patchouli. I just wore so much of it. And then that time period where I had to be really calm and you know, need to have that presence, that ended, so I don't have to just wear patchouli perfumes anymore. Let's talk now about some of the fragrances that I sampled in the month of January. I was lucky enough to have someone send me a bunch of decants and samples, and one of the things that I tried, you can see the sample's almost done, but this is Cartier Oud and Musc. And I also had Cartier Oud and Vanilla, and both of them really blew me away. Oud and Vanilla, I wore a lot of as well. I probably have the same amount left, and then I gave it to a friend of mine because I thought, you know, you need to try this too. The Oud, I mean, I don't know if it's a synthetic oud or a real oud, but it doesn't feel overly synthetic to my nose. So maybe it's a little bit of each one made to create an accord that is available to the masses, but also not going to deplete oud resources and break the bank for anyone, either the consumer or the person that is making the perfume. Oud and Vanilla is lovely. Oud and Musc is definitely a more barnyardy, more fecal kind of oud to begin with. And then the musk comes out, and the musk playing with the oud is really special. It's not overly clean. It's almost an animalic musk, and it takes over the animalic portion of the scent from the oud. So once the animalic oud dries down, you get this fun warm skin scent kind of a musk. Thankfully, this musk is not a laundry musk. It's not overly clean. It's not boring. It's just a really pretty skin scent, and that's just how I'm going to describe it. I've worn this pretty much nonstop for the past 3 days. I wore it today too. Maybe it's because this is a sample. I don't find that it's very strong, and I kind of can't put my finger on exactly what I'm smelling other than this really dirty oud right at the beginning. I can smell that, but the musk in here is just different and really addictive. That's what I'm going to say. Probably this is going to be one that I'm going to get a full bottle of because I am really enjoying wearing it, and I don't think I have anything that's like this in my collection. I really don't have an oud perfume, an oud forward perfume. Oud is not a note that I really feel the need to return to again and again, but I'm finding this to be quite pleasant to smell. So I wore a lot of this one, and I wore a lot of Oud Vanille last week. So those two were new to me. Really enjoyed both of them. I have Oud and Santal as well. I've tried that one. That one is good. The Santal in that, which I'm guessing is sandalwood, it's like almost a little bit minty and fresh, which is interesting. The oud is not very barnyardy. This oud is the only one that I've smelled that has those dirty facets that oud can sometimes have. Oud and Santal was also nice, just not one that I felt like I needed to have. I really like Oud Vanille, and I really like Oud and Musc. So this is great. This collection is getting a lot of hype. I know it's been around for a little bit. It's not brand new, but it's finally getting to the point where people have samples and they're willing to share them because they've had so many of them. And I was so happy to get to try this. Really, really enjoyed it. The other perfumes that I tried, I have Dulcis in Fundo by Profumum Roma, and I also got another sample of Zucchero by Profumum Roma. Zucchero is nice. I mean, it means sugar, so it does kind of smell like straight up sugar, like candy, like just sugar water, really. It's not very complex. It's not very interesting. It really is just a sweet, sugary perfume. I kind of don't understand why anyone would spend that much money when we have things like Aqualina pink sugar, and you can get it on the discount shelf for $20, $25. Not very expensive, but to each their own. I will say that the Profumum Roma perfumes are super duper strong, and I know that some people only wear scents that are so strong, so I can see why they would gravitate towards those. Dulcis in Fundo is a lemon sugar perfume, so it's lovely if you want to smell like lemon sugar. Kind of smells like those Mr. Sketch markers, the lemon one of those, because the lemon is just so in your face and almost artificial. I like it. I'm going to wear a little bit more of it, but I probably am not going to get a bottle because this is just not something that I mean, I feel like these lemony, sugary perfumes, like confections, are very easy to find. So this doesn't seem like anything special or unique to me. So I probably won't add that to my collection, although I will continue wearing this and I'll see if it grows on me, and then I will update, I guess. That's it from me. Not a whole lot to report on, but if you have the Cartier Oud collection or you've sampled it, let me know what you think, because I think that they are intriguingly good and very well done. They're really smooth and kind of just easy to throw on, which is not something that I would say about most oud perfumes. I think a lot of oud perfumes are challenging and your nose kind of needs to get used to them. But the Oud and Musc and the Oud and Vanille are definitely not. I mean, Oud and Musc is a little bit challenging, but they're still easy enough to throw on because you know that the challenging bit is going to change. And so as a perfume lover, it's worth it for me to just wait like half an hour for it to change into something that's a little bit more acceptable to the public at large, and then I can enjoy wearing it too. That is it for me. I am heading to Milan in a couple of weeks for Aix-en-Provence, so I will be looking at all kinds of niche perfume when I'm there. If you have something that you want me to talk about when I get back or from there, let me know. I know someone was asking me whether I had content from my takeaways from there, and I don't really have anything on my page. But if there's something that you want to know about, then let me know and I will get to it for maybe my March perfume rotation or my February perfume rotation. And maybe I'll have time to create content from there and do a little Q&A or something like that. We'll see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.